Hi, who are you and where are you from?
Hello, my name is Vasilios Kosmakos from Treasure Island, Florida.
All right, and I know you because you are with the University of Florida and you've worked there with the oral history
Yeah,
department.
for the last 3 years, yep.
And soon to be a Peace Corps volunteer
In Paraguay, yep.
in deforestation or hopefully with deforestation or water
Resources, yep.
And at University of Florida, you also have done some work with oral history and the waterways of Florida.
Yep, the Summer Proctor Oral History Program, I was the founder of the Florida Natchez Project, where I've gone around across the entire state and interviewed people about water quality and water issues, and I'm super proud of that work.
Congratulations. I've seen it, and it's a terrific project. And you are a resident of, where are we right now?
So we're in Treasure Island, Florida. We're outside the old Kosmakos restaurant, currently Sea Dog Brewery. I was born and raised in Treasure Island. I'm 23 years old. Pretty much been here my entire life, and I'm a super proud resident of the island.
And this pier you fished off of when you were a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. This waterway, I've fished my entire life. I've seen everything you can imagine. Like dolphins, manatees, stingrays, sharks, the whole 9 yards. You know, it's a beautiful place. We're really blessed to have lived here my entire life.
Has the climate changed much since you were a kid?
I think it has. I mean, this year in particular has been something I've never seen before. Specifically, you know, we've had heat advisory warnings. I mean, 1 week, 2 weeks long. I mean, I can tell you at any point when I was a kid where I noticed that, you know, and then not to mention is the erosion that's happening along our beaches has been horrible. Usually we have to do something called beach renourishment. Treasure Island beaches erode about 3 centimeters a year, and usually we have to put sand that we dredge up and put them on our beaches. We haven't done that since 2017, and the beach has decreased by several feet from when I was a kid. You know, and then not to mention that's, you know, the climate change has definitely had an impact on our local fisheries. You know, I've definitely seen a decrease in the amount of fish in our waterways. I mean, that's also because of things like red tide and water quality, but you know, it's all part of one big cycle. So, I mean, I've definitely noticed that things have definitely gotten hotter. Again, the beaches are getting shorter. You know, it's affecting us.
And the seasons.
Absolutely.
And what about on an everyday basis? Do you think about climate and say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most concerned, where would you put yourself?
As an environmentalist or historian, you know, aspiring ecologist, I mean, it's definitely something that's always in my mind. I tend to think of context within the climate crisis within a human context. I definitely view it as, you know, a 7 or 8 in terms of one of these kind of consequential, you know, crises that are affecting humanity. Because the way I see it, the climate crisis, you know, it's inherently a human problem, right? Because what the climate crisis does is that we think of, you know, it as, you know, of creating these kind of underwater, of complete covering Miami and creating these, you know, landless-like, you know, cities. That's not what the issue is. The issue is that the climate crisis creates microfractures. You know, every single time there's a drought, every single time, you know, there's a famine or, you know, related to climate change, it creates these micropressures that exist within society, right? And I think those, you know, kind of inherently decrease the resiliency of our society as a whole. Because when there's, you know, a coup or when there's political pressure or social pressure, you know, those are going to be compounded by the effects of climate change. So something that wouldn't normally have affected people, right, because they're dealing with these micro pressures, you know, a bad harvest here, you know, bad fishing here, bad tourism, bad tourist, you know, year over there. Those are compounding, and those are, you know, creating larger and larger societal issues that are affecting us. You know, and we think of it as a modern day issue. It's really not. I mean, look at the Aztecs, look at, you know, the Middle Eastern cultures. I mean, climate change has completely eradicated human civilizations in the past because of these micro pressures that, again, eventually created larger and larger socio-political issues. And I think the same thing is happening here. Whether, you know, so no matter who you are, no matter where you are on the spectrum, climate change is affecting you. It's going to affect you today, and it's going to affect you 10 years from now, 50 years from now, and 100 years from now, just at different levels.
And then what about the, what's being done locally? Is there seawalls? Are there seawalls being built? Are there homes being built on stilts? Is there anything being done locally to acknowledge the pressures of climate change?
Climate change is certainly at the forefront of every single beach community along this entire coast. Within specifically the Treasure Island, we're releasing climate resiliency plans. We're building living seawalls with mangroves and oyster reefs to decrease erosion. We're adjusting our sewer systems and our road systems, to displace the water, as it gets wetter, in these areas. So I don't know of a single city in probably the region that isn't having climate change at the forefront of its plans, at least going on into the future.
And then what about the future, as you just mentioned? Are you a climate optimist or pessimist? Are things getting better or worse, and is there anything we can do about it?
I think I'm a climate realist. I think at the end of the day, if we don't do something right, no matter what we do, it's going to get worse. I always have hope. I'm always of the belief that something's better than nothing. Even if we were able to move the dial, 1 or 2 centimeters, 1 or 2 centimeters, right? It's better than if we would do nothing. But at the same time, it's like there's very direct political and social directives, that are affecting this. I tend to view climate change as a socioeconomic issue, right? It's like if we don't address the social, economic, and political sources of these issues, nothing's going to change. But if we society change our consciousness, and if we put pressure on the right people, then it's going to change. But it has to start from the top, and it has to, the top has to work in a combination with the bottom. The people at the bottom have to put pressure on the top, and the people at the top have to do the right thing. But if we don't address the sources of this climate crisis, at those very foundational levels, nothing's going to change.
So, you're optimistic or pessimistic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm cautiously optimistic. Again, I think people are waking up. Again, 50 years ago, right, the environment was catching on fire. Now we're having climate crisis. Now we're having climate issues at the forefront of our political discussions. People are changing. It's slow, but it is changing. So as long as we keep the pressure up, as long as we put pressure on the right people, I think it's going to change. But we have to keep that pressure.
Very good. On today, the 23rd of August, here on Treasure Island, you call this a barrier island?
Yeah, it was naturally formed. I think about 10,000 years ago.
A barrier island here, and right off of Tampa, St. Pete. And thank you very much.
Thank you.